All right, welcome everybody. Today is Friday, September 4th, I believe, and we're going to be here till about 9:30. Non-farm payroll report Friday, so we're going to be very, very careful about taking any trades this morning. We're going to make this be open line Friday, so open mic Friday. So if you have a mic and you have any questions at all, put your hand up. We'll turn your mic on, and we'll kind of let people just ask questions, and we'll just use this as a question answer period as we find some, as we're waiting for some charts to open. Having said all that, let's get the disclaimers out of the way and we'll get started. Trading foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well for you. Before deciding to invest in the foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objectives, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendations will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And now that we've got all those preliminaries out of the way, we have a US Swiss trade. Let me change my screen and make sure I got this thing's recording. New screen, here we go. And this is one, again, like I said, today is non-farm payroll report Friday. So first Friday of every month at 8:30, there's going to be, and the with our Forex Factory, what's going on in the world for folder, we have at 8:30, we have several red folders for the Canadian and the US dollar. All of our pairs that we usually get alerts on are US pairs. So we're going to just kind of, if we take anything, take it at your own risk. I'm not going to take anything. I may put it a demo trade on just to see how we could have played it out. But I will not be taking these live, especially at 8:30 when the announcement comes out. If I take anything, just to show you what kind of effect it can have and how much damage it could do. So I'm not trading live with it, at least not for several hours today. Anyway, we've had a good trading week. I'm not going to give it up. I'm going to stick it in my pocket and say thank you very much for the week. But anyway, here we are. Here's what we have going on right now. The US Swiss. Everybody can see my screen, I take it?
Yep.
And
Looks
we
fine.
have, so if we look at the 15-minute chart, and what I'm wanting to do is I'm going to see where the previous day's high and low ranges. What range are we really operating on in today's range? And if you can look back and just see where the significant high was, what I did was I'm going to start doing this more often, is trying to find out where is our trading range for the day going to be. And oops, got the wrong tool. Hang on a second. Grab the right tool here. And if we take the pivot high and we take this significant low, which is right there, and we draw our Fibonacci zones and we say, okay, this is the upper 25% of the range. So we know that yesterday all the sellers were up here. Yesterday all the buyers were down here. That was yesterday. Today's going to be a different day, but nonetheless, it's a reference to use. And so we're going to take this over like this. Now I can take, so now I'm in the upper 25%, the lower 25%. You can see right now we're in the middle of everything. When this non-farm payroll report comes out, it will not surprise me at all that wherever this happens to be, it comes down and hits one end and goes up to the next one, or it goes up to the next end and comes down to the following one. Either way, if it's a big report, if there's a lot of volatility because of that report, no matter where you are in this trade, if you're in a trade going, and you may be in a normal, perfect direction, but if you have a stop and it swings, it's probably going to swing. It may give you your, if you're in the trade, it may give you your 7 pips or 14 pips. But there's also a good chance it's to come down and swing to the opposite direction. And no matter which direction you're in, it's going to stop you out, depending on which way it breaks first. So that's, and that's just a gamble. And I don't like gambling with this. So that's another reason why I'm going to stay out of this. Right now, you're kind of right in the middle of this whole zone. This zone is basically 35 pips. And to get a
Yeah.
35 pips swing on the non-farm payroll is not unusual. I've seen a 100 pip swing in 10 seconds. And
Yeah.
there's no way to,
I've
and there's no way to get in and no way to get filled. A lot of times you won't even get filled, even if you're in the right direction. By the time that correction happens and you have your order in, depending on where your order is in the stack, you may not even get filled, and it will be sit there. It'll trigger a market order, and and I've seen it take 30, 40 seconds, or even as much as a minute before your order ever gets filled, and then you have no idea where it's going to be filled. So it's just a crapshoot. So anyway, stay away from it.
Yeah, like if you're trading during this time, okay, great, but just understand your stop is going to have to be bigger, which means that your lot size and your dollar per pip is going to be lower.
Yep. So here we go. We had the alert. It was a descending wedge on the US Swiss. Let me just pull this full screen up here on the 15-minute chart. Now we know that yesterday's high was all the way over here. This was, and you can see this is the area right in here is where the price really got rejected. We came down, came up, made a high, came down, came up, retested this area. I'm just gonna pull this on over here because that's where the top of this thing is. Came up, retested the area, and then it just fell off all the way down to this area down here. Tested this area, came back up, came back, retested the area, and now it's working its way back on up. And I would not be surprised that it's going to come up here probably before it comes back down again, but who knows? That's just a guess. So anyway, right now we have a descending wedge. So we're going to draw the wedge. Here's our, okay, I'm going to start all the way up here at the top where we have a high. Here's our pivot low. And here's where the high was before the wedge. And I'm not going to keep it where it is right now, but we're just going to start working our way in. Here's a low, here's a hit, here's a near hit, and then we have the low. Up here we have a high. Well, right now there's no hits at all. So I'm going to back this one off a little bit. So now we have a lower high, a low, and we have a lower high, a higher low. So I'm going to move this one down here. But now we have an ascending wedge on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this A up here because this C actually made a higher high. But we still have a lower high from the A, just that I can't use this one because this one is higher. It's still lower in this range, but I can't use this because this one's now higher, and it was a descending wedge. So I want to keep this thing descending. So now I can take it from here. Here's where the alert was. Here's a about 2-point hit. See, that's 91.17 to, this is only two pips. So actually from here to here, this is a valid hit. So we have the anchor, a hit, and then we have where the alert came. And you see where it broke. I still have to respect this area because, so I'm going to be looking at this, if I can draw it. There you go. So I'm going to be looking at this area right here. I want to see it close inside this area before I take the trade to go long as they break out. So let me go and change my, did I lose anybody yet? Does all this make sense? And here's my, so here's my zone and you can see where it came up And this 15-minute candle just barely tagged it. So that would actually validate the trade to take it long. And that's one reason I'm more inclined to think it's taking the long. This is a strong move up, but right now we have an inside candle. And this is right now, I'd say it's just waiting for this exchange. So right now we have a strong big blue candle. We have right now this red candle is engulfing inside this blue candle. So right now this is really our range right here. We have this, and now and this is why this is one I'm thinking you're probably seeing this a lot because of the non-farm payroll report coming out in another 20 minutes. This thing's probably going to go sideways for the next 20 minutes until it decides what to do. But right now it broke to the upside. Got some people in it. I did get in. I got out when I saw this thing starting to stall. I got out because this thing just barely got in, barely closed higher than this point. But it does have some momentum to the upside. So this is where we are right now. So if this were not non-farm payroll, I don't think you'd be getting this movement afterwards. But who knows? But anyway, it would be a valid trade to take it long because you did get the close inside of this from where the hit was to we have anchor, the hit, the next from the C to the next challenge of the trend line. When it breaks, I want to see it close inside of that. And right now, it's actually, if you go to a 1-minute chart or a 5-minute chart, we'll just break it down to a 5-minute. And we're going to do, and you can see that since it was closed on the 15, also closed on the 5, it came back all the way down, and it's right now, it's making another little flag pattern. But this was a strong wick down. You see it's actually still respecting the 62 on the 5-minute chart. And if we look at our strength meters, we're still showing some strength on the dollar, not by a whole lot, but it's just sitting here going sideways. And I would expect it's going to do that till just before the announcement. And it may actually start breaking before the announcement because a lot of times the people that get to know these things, even though they're not supposed to, they know them anyway. So, but we'll watch this for the during the announcement. Now, when we did get the alert, I was talking a couple of days ago about secondary wedges and secondary flag patterns and things like that, which is nothing more than a wedge. Got my C over here. And so we had a nice move up. It came back down, and it gave us this little area right in here where all the moving averages were starting to converge. And if you look on the 1-minute chart, you'll see how, here's where the C, okay, let me slide this on over just a little bit more. And I'll even take it over just one more minute. That 1 minute after the alert, the alert happened, and 1 minute it popped up, and then it came right back down again. So this is a significant area right here, and you see we have a couple moving average. It's the moving averages crossed right here. You can follow the 62. Nothing crossed the 62 until right here. The green crossed it, gave us a little bit of a head fake, but then this strong candle here popped up. And that gave us an opportunity to possibly, when we get a break above this red candle right here, and that's pretty much where I got in right about this. When this candle broke in, that's where I got in, which is just a couple pips before the trend, thinking that, okay, this was a break. If it comes up, I could at least get my spread out of here before, got the close up here. But then I started seeing this little turnaround up here. So I just got out, knowing that it was just barely got into that area. So this was when you're looking at you're looking at a strong move up, you're looking at a pullback, and then you're looking for a lower high and higher lows. And so, again, that's nothing more than a wedge. So here's the low, here's a high, here's pretty much an equal, that's a little bit of a lower low there. And then you just break it out to when you get the break of the moving averages, you get the break of, actually kind of like this one just sort of wicked in there. A
Excuse
little
me,
bit of a wick
Al.
down. Yes.
We actually just got an alert for the US CAD. It might be interesting to see what it
Oh,
does.
yeah, let's do that. Now, this one's still in play, basically. It's still inside the wedge. Well, actually, now it came back into the wedge. Let's go take a look at the US CAD. Thanks, Eva.
No
And
problem.
we will go and do a duplicate here. See if we can. And there's my US CAD. I'll just get this off of here. Is ascending or descending, Eva?
It's ascending at 8:15.
8:15 ascending. This could be really, because this is one of the ones that had the red folder out.
Yeah, the both of them are having red folder at the same time at 8:30.
This could be fun.
Yeah, this will be fun. This is going to be fun.
I'm not taking any live trades on this.
No, I'm not. Please don't.
No.
Please don't demo it all you want, but please don't take any live trades on this. If you do, do it at your own risk. I hold no responsibility for whatever happens with it. And if you win, congratulations. If you don't, well, I told you so.
Well, I mean, we're not taking any responsibility for any of your actions anyway.
That's right.
Even on a non-farm or regular day, but
yeah.
Today especially, don't come and say, oh well, you know.
Unless you have money to gamble with, because it's a gamble. All right, so here's it was what was it again? Ascending or descending?
Ascending. It's
ascending.
ascending.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. So we're looking at nice big move down. Ascending, we're going to start down here, and so this is going to be an easy one to draw. Nice move down. We have a low. We have a high. I'll take this high up here, and we have another one tucked in here, and we're going to come right back up, and we're going to just flatten this out right here for right now. Because what I'm going to want to see is I'm going to want to see it close above this line before I would take it. Now, here's a problem. You have a 15-minute 62 up here. So we're going to mark that. Let's see, we got about 10 minutes to draw this thing out here. So this will be better not dawdle.
So just to add a little thing.
Yeah.
Just think that right now that move up and that pullback that you're seeing right now on USD CAD, that's actually at the 61.8 level of that major move up. Yeah,
from here to here. Okay, and this is why I like drawing these little 25% zones up above and below.
This will help.
This will help. So
this is
and there's a good chance you're going to see it come right into the bottom of these zones when this thing announces. I'll just see how close I am with being. So here's the upper 25%. I'll make this one red if I can find the right box for it. Supply zone, and we're going to come down here to the 76 to 100% area. Actually, I like the non-farm payroll because it's just fun to watch it. I always try and see if I can ever learn how to actually trade that thing. And there are people that do. People love this thing because there are ways of trading it.
There's big money if you know what you're talking about, but you need to look into fundamentals and whatever. And as a general rule, I could care less about fundamentals, so I just pay attention to certain red news folders like FOMC or any governors talking, bank regulators, but you know.
Yeah, and you can see like right now we are right in that 50%, right that 50 to 61% retracement off of here. And so my guess is going to be it's going to come down, break down here, grab some buy orders, then shoot on up. If it's going to be a volatile move, that's where I think it's going to be. So
Max, I'm not sure I understand why you're putting the currency pairs in the chat. Is there? We don't trade the pound yen on AIRIS because it doesn't generate alerts.
Yeah,
it's considered a cross pair and not a major. So
yeah, the only pairs that you'll see us trade show on these AIRIS alerts are the ones that AIRIS generates, and they're going to be all the major pairs tied with the U.S. dollar is basically what it is. But
It
you'll see
does
that
trade gold,
Does-
I think,
right. It does do gold. That's
but I'm
what
not taking them.
yeah. So anyway, this is what we've got, and so anyway, this is where we're at. I'm going to remove. I'm going to mark the 62. I'm going to take the rest of this off since I have these marked. I'll take the rest of this so we don't clutter our screen too much. And let's see, what's our time here? Right now, we have 9 more minutes before the announcement.
It's already starting to break.
Yeah, it's starting to break a little bit right here. Let's go with, and let's just see. We'll see if we can possibly trade this thing here.
I don't think this is going to be a fake out.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's our.
My gut tells
Anchor?
me it's going to go down. It's going to come down to like maybe not break the 1.3083. If it breaks 1.083, then it could be interesting, but I don't think it will. And I think it's going to reverse at that zone where people are like, oh, yeah, well, it's going to go down, and they're going to cheat everyone out of it. So we'll see what happens. Could be wrong.
Now, the way we would normally draw this is that we got to close inside this area. We're going to go short. Let me see if I can get my chart up here real quick before we do this. There it is. Okay, good. So I'm going to be looking at going short on this thing. Demo, I quote, demo. If we get a close in here, we'll take this thing short.
Now that's closing on your 1 minute chart, Al?
I'm going to look for yes, I'm going to look at for the close on the 1 minute.
Okay, it looks like a strong move down, eh?
Okay, there was the close right there. I should probably just do market order.
Whoa.
So, and yeah, it just got crushed. All right.
And I'm going to move my target.
It's not going up.
I'm going to move my target in here. I'm going to move my stop above here, and I'm going to put a buy stop in right above this area. This is a non-farm payroll technique that has never been proven profitable.
Yeah. So interesting observation. We had mentioned that this was going to be an ascending wedge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was called as an ascending wedge, but it broke to the downside. So just because it's ascending doesn't mean it's going to go out to the upside. You're really going to get your butt handed to you that way.
Here we go. Now it's going to go the other way.
30. See what that's 30. 30.99. 30.99. I'm looking at. Let's just try this. 30.099. There we go. Buy stop is up here. Protection target. Take profit. I'm gonna go for this other zone of 31.39.
You remember where we said that in non-farm payroll, price likes to move significantly and then kind of whipsaw you out? Could be what's going on here.
Yep. I'm just gonna move my target right in here, and we're gonna watch this thing. I'm going to scrunch this up so we can see both the top and the bottom. So right now I'm in a short demo. I say again. Mm-hmm. And if it goes and breaks above this area right up here, I'm going to be looking at right about there. I'm going to use that for. So right now I'm. Whoop! I just hit my target. Just got my target, I guess. That was sweet.
Did you take profit?
Well, I think so. I didn't I thought I had my
The
target all the way,
right, did you put the right target
or did I get stopped out? I may have gotten stopped out.
let's go find out.
Let's see if I can find the trade history on this.
What are you talking about? USD CHF?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
we got stopped out, looks like
US CAD
minus
order
699.
canceled. Stop order. That's my buy stop. Yeah, actually, I didn't have. Here was it. Order filled, and
It looks like
no, I know I had a sell order.
It's your take profit, huh? You
I
don't have a stop loss.
well, it's a profit of minus $6.99, so it stopped you out. So the order fill, they call it an order
buy. I
fill.
was
and they
short.
stop
Yeah,
you
I
out.
was short. Yeah, I was short. So it filled with the buy.
Yeah.
I didn't have my stop far enough away. That's what happened there.
Well. Oh, I was looking at your trade at the top there. Anyway. Yeah, welcome, Max. Really hope you plug in and just enjoy your time with us and observe and tell us a little bit more about you. Have you been trading a while? Are you brand new to trading?
So our time. What's our time here right now? We have 3 more minutes. Here was a little bit of a fake out here. And let's see what that's 88, 3088 to 30. Yeah, that would have been 10 pips. It just had a 10 pip move on the breakout. But by the time you got in on your 5-minute chart there, Eva, you have been in the zone. You've got in the zone, but now look what happened. Now you're going to be, again, you're going to get a lot of volatility. So you say you got in at the, which you wouldn't have made quite that at that close. Now it's coming up to retest the wedge.
So let's see what that third candle is going to do.
But right now you have an engulfing bullish candle right now. This is our time. We still have 3 more minutes before this candle is going to close. Let me spread this on out here so you can see this. So right now we have a candle, and you have right now inside that 5-minute candle, which is 94 to that candle that's a big candle from here to here.
It's huge.
That's 116 pip candle. Normal candles on a 5-minute chart. Average true range on these are.
What did you say? 5 to 8 pips, maybe?
6.
Look at that. That's pretty wild.
This is what you see with the non-farm payroll. If we had taken this, well, you can see I took this trade. Of course, I have my stop all the way down, my target all the way down there. And I got stopped out.
Oh.
I'd be trading non-farm payroll without a stop loss. You're going to get your butt handed to you in more ways than you can handle, because you can end up in a really bad position, and it could be the bottom or the top of a move, and you could be a couple months in that trade if you don't want to take the loss.
I'm going to put a sell limit up here at right where my take profit is. So that's going to be at 3160, 31.
Hey guys, look at that. Look at that break to the upside. So it did go deeper than I wanted, than I had expected, but it is going to the upside. Look at that stinking candle. What's that?
That's my phone.
No. No, I'm saying the 1-minute candle is 20-some pips.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yeah. That's a 20 pip candle, guys. That's significant. You're not taking that trade with a 5 pip stop loss.
Look at that.
So now we're all the way up, and we got a pullback. It's like 50% pullback, and we're down.
You see, it got me just enough to get me in.
Yeah.
And it's going to take your stop.
I don't think I have a stop in this one. I don't think I put a stop in this one. Take profit, stop loss. I'm going to use 25 pip stop loss on this one. I take profits up here. My stop loss is down there. It got me in. I've already been stopped out once. I had this all the way up here so that if it took off to the upside, it got me in. So it got me in. So right now now if I put my stop down here, because right now I'm thinking it's going to
Look at it. It's going
trade
down.
between this.
Here it comes.
And right now, as there was a clock, okay, the announcement's over. It says 8:32.
This is insane.
And this is why you don't want to trade the non-farm payroll. Good news is it only happens once a month on a Friday, the first Friday of every month.
That's quite how many pips did that thing move in a matter of a couple minutes?
Yeah, we're on 1 minute
35.
charts. So in a 3-minute time period, the normal true range is about 3 pips. And this thing just went 23 pips in 3 minutes.
It's
In 2
amazing.
minutes, actually. Oh, 3 minutes. And so now you pretty much have to just sort of wait until the market settles in before you can start taking anything else new, because you've got to work out that swing. You have to work that swing out over the period of time to get something that's more valid. Let's go to our 5-minute chart for the people that like trading on 5-minute charts. I'm going to take this off because we don't really need that anymore. So right now, I'm still looking at. I would not want to take anything until it got down into this zone, or at this point break to the upside after all these moving averages start turning in the right direction. Right now, they're kind of all over the place.
This pair has been crazy for the last 2-3 weeks. Hard to predict what it's going to do.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, you can even see, like, if you just use this as AC. So right now we made a lower low, and we actually made a higher high.
No, it's backwards.
Now it's backwards. That's right. So if I didn't have any alerts at all to be looking at, I would probably be looking at drawing this thing probably something like this. I'd probably start up here where we had a high. In fact, we have an alert that we can actually still kind of play with here a little bit. Here is the high from after the announcement. Here's the low. Here's the break, and if this thing breaks up here, is probably a good chance it's going to go on up to this the red zone, the supply zone. I'm not taking this, but I'm already actually in this from the announcement. And if you look at, I could probably be looking at, even though it's not a hit, we get a close into this area, right? If we get a close in here, I'm just looking at the last significant high before, and I'm looking to see a close after the wedge break, see a close in there. See how close we can do it after the announcement. If the system that we use works. Enter on close. We got a 5-minute candle right now. So if the 5-minute candle closes inside this zone, I'll put another entry in to go long in demo because I'm still practicing with these types of announcements. So I'm going to do a buy stop, and I'm going to have it be if I get a close. Let me see if it closes halfway up into this thing at let's see 3009. I'll call it. Seven, and I'm going to move this on up to, let's see where there's a fib zone here. Yeah, if we can get a close above that, that would be decent. You move it up a little bit higher. Didn't even take it. It didn't take it. Probably one is first in, first out rules. Nope, it won't let me take the trade. That's a Wanda for you. We don't have our 5-minute close. Now, Eva, this is what we're talking, this is a little bit what I'm talking about, is if you're still waiting for the 5-minute close versus the 1-minute close. Do we get the 1-minute close in here? Let's see, this is at 38:39. We still have another minute to go. So you did get the 1-minute close right right here. You had the whipsaw during the announcement. Now that they did whatever it is they were going to do, and now they're driving it on up to this area. Now, I guess, Eva, there's an argument to be made is that they got us in on the 1 minute, but now we're getting a pullback on the 5. So 5 still hasn't closed yet. We had this discussion yesterday. Even I had this discussion about the 5-minute close versus the 1-minute close in these zones like this. And I said there's an argument to be made on both accounts. The 1-minute close would have got me in up here. The 5-minute close would have gotten Eva in down here, which would have been a little better position. So we're going to, even though Wanda wouldn't let me take the trade, but I'm going to say we took the trade, entered right in here for the second entry. Entry to buy.
Do you believe that the volatility for this has kind of smoothed out? at this
I
point?
think now that reports out, I think the wedge was still a good wedge all in all, but you had to play you had to wait for the volatility to settle down after the announcement, and it could still be. It's hard to say how long it takes for everything to work its way into some degree of normalcy. This is a nice little rally basing. If this is a rally-based rally, we can project where it's going to go from this low to this high. The pullback, depending on how far it pulls back, I'm going to say it's going to pull back. We're just going to give it somewhere between 23 and 36%. And then if it does, it's going to come right on up into this area.
Still hasn't really decided which way it wants to go.
Oh, I think it has. I think it has. I think this is just a small pullback retesting the trend line.
Yeah, true.
I said we really don't have our. This was certainly a nice trend line. The only problem we don't have is we don't have the validation of it yet. But on the same token is that in order to get the validation, we would have to, this could be that intermediate hit. So if we go from the A, this could be the intermediate hit. I'm not going to move it till it comes back down. But once it comes back down, then I can move that C up to this. That would be the midpoint, possibly, and then wait for it to retest over this area. Right now with the B area, I can go from here, here's a hit, here's the validation to the lower part. So this trend line, the lower part of the wedge is validated because we have our third hit. Now if it comes back down to here, we could get another bounce up to wherever this one ends up being.
I've got a question for you, Al.
Okay.
Just for interest's sake, since it's Labor Day weekend, will we be having a session on Monday?
Oh, good question. Let's say no, because I like to take the holidays off when the banks take the holidays off. So yeah, I think let's not. We're not going to have a session on Monday.
Okay, good. I'll let Ruben know as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, because volume's not going to be there. We'll just pretty much be twiddling our thumbs because if the U.S. banks are closed and they're for the New York session at least going to be the ones who move the currencies. If they're closed, then there's not going to be a lot of volume. So
yeah, I'm a firm believer when the banks take a holiday, then traders need to take a holiday too.
Agreed. Yep, absolutely.
Well, especially everything's paired with the U.S. on AIRIS anyway, so if they're closed, not much point, right?
There's really not. It's a good time for review.
Yeah, a lot of back testing.
If people really want to do stuff, just
actually take your time to do some back testing during that time. That'll be if you want to be on the charts, that's what you should be doing on holidays.
It's back testing. Yeah, you're not making money right now, but you're investing in yourself, like really good. Some of the best times I have is actually back testing strategies and refining things.
Look at this. It keeps wanting to go down.
Yep. So if we did take that trade up here, I believe we probably would have been stopped out by now. Let's see. Here's 11 pips. If we were using even a tip right now from, let's say if you were able to get filled anywhere near that close to where it is right now, you'd be 20 pips down from now. You've been stopped out. And so this is still kind of part of the whipsaw of the non-farm payroll. Now, okay, so here, remember I was saying we look for that center hit. So here's the anchor. So now we have a hit. So I'm gonna move my C over here someplace where it's out of the way, and I'm gonna make that my middle hit. So now if it comes up and retests the trend line, now we know we have a valid trend line. Now, as this should come up, retest this trend line somewhere along here, and it's also going to be retesting this one. So as it retests this, it should retest that, and should be getting lower highs, higher lows, lower highs, higher lows, lower highs, until it breaks again. So right now, all this stuff is invalid right now. This is invalid. This, we would be looking at this area, and wherever it happens to test the trend line, that would be drawn that area. Then we'd be looking for a close, probably somewhere above in here someplace. I'm gonna turn this off. Whenever you have a major high, I want to see, when it breaks the trend line, I want to see it close above the previous high. Oh, that is just making a lower low. If you look down here on this down move, you'll see that each one lower low, lower low, lower low. And all these blue candle pullbacks didn't break it. It pulled back, didn't break it, made a new lower low. Blue candle pullback, it didn't make it, didn't break it. Lower low, blue candle pullback, couldn't break this one. Lower low, lower low, blue candle pullback, couldn't break this one. And that's how you can, that's another way you can kind of keep trailing these things on down. And then when it does break, when it get the lower low, I go over here, blue candle pullback, came right to the top, this one broke it. Now you know that that trend is now starting to come to an end. But look at this candle over here. We have a nice big blue candle, red candle inside. So right now, if you're looking at price action, inside the wedge, inside our wedge that we drew, price action is, we have a engulfing candle. Move this up here. That's where the tag was. Now somewhere around, so right now, we're going to see if this is going to be supported. We have our 25% zone all the way down here. And it actually, when you're looking, it's actually making, here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high, and here's a lower low. So it is actually trending inside this wedge. And it may come all the way until it gets into here. It may spike down in here, get everybody in, get everybody going short, a bunch of buy orders sitting in here. Buy orders are saying, okay, let's go and run it back up to this, up to that area. So we can take this off. We don't need that anymore. We don't really need this one right now. Let's go back to our 15-minute chart and see what it's looking like. We can see if there's any other areas as we come down to where this low was, and take a look at this. You don't see, you have a strong wick. There's nothing but a series of wicks all the way until, and we didn't get a close. See where this B is? We put the B right there. We don't have any close until we get pretty much all the way down to this area, which is right down about where the D is. So if I be as looking from a 15-minute chart, big blue candle over here, not followed by another candle, red candle. This was a rally. It based in here. Here's our basing. And we got right there, you see, and it came right down. Guess what? It didn't close below this level here. It made this is where the announcement was. It worked right down, got everybody going short, took everybody's stops, and now it's going long. There is not a close below. This is the lowest close we have on a blue candle, or the red candle actually, to the beginning of a blue candle over here. So this is a zone that, so this is really the new zone that we're looking at playing in here. I'm going to make this our, because once this, well, actually it broke. So this is how low it got. So here's our zone. This is the origin of this big blue candle right here. It came right down to it and then turned around. That's a big 15-minute move here.
Ruben's been messaging me. He just said that he's been profitable in 20 out of 22 trades. And he says to thank Matt and Al and the whole Hawkeye team for me. Wouldn't have made it this far without them.
Oh, thank you, Ruben. That's nice of him to say that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Now
awesome.
he's off the fence.
You know, those are the reasons why I do what I do, is when I get some feedback saying that we're really helping people out. That's where I get, that's my pay.
Yep. Agreed.
Trust me, I'm not doing this for the money. Being here every morning, I'm not doing it for the money.
No.
But I am doing it because I'm sitting here at the charts anyway. So I'm happy to be able to share these. This whatever knowledge I have, be it good or bad, I like to share it with everybody, and hopefully we're changing people's lives with that.
Yeah, little by little.
For sure. It's good to hear stuff like this from the group.
And so we're happy to have every one of you in here. And like I said, today is Open Line Friday, Open Mic Friday. I'm going to allow everybody, well, if anybody has a mic on, there's Samuel has a mic. Let me turn your mic on if you like, if I can do that. To talk. Yes. Let me see if how do I unmute you here? I should be able to unmute you. If anybody wants to, well, let's just say this. If anybody wants to talk, just unmute your mic, or raise your hand, and I'll unmute you if you have your mic on. And then you're free to ask any questions you like that's relative to the trading that we're doing. Maybe clarify some techniques, clarify how we draw the wedges. Oftentimes, I just don't know how confusing I'm making it or how clear I'm making it.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat sometimes. Sometimes it's hard because we've been doing this so long that it's hard to hear the other side. So feedback is absolutely invaluable. Just makes us so much better, right?
Oh, there's Max. Okay, Max, go ahead. Your mic is open. What can we do for you today? Glad to have you in here today.
Thank you. So I was wondering, from US guys, the way you set the graph up just from the ABC basically, right? Can you like basically replay that scene again so I missed that part?
Well, there's a real echo. You're almost like you're talking into a tin can. There's a real background echo, and I didn't quite catch what you were saying. Try that again.
Yeah, the mic's pretty low, so you have to adjust your sound a little bit. Give it another try.
Oh, didn't hear anything that time.
No. Let's rewind the tape. How about that?
Okay, no, we can't hear you, Max. I know Max did say earlier in the chat that he's been trading for 6 months and he's still having problems setting up. He's calling it his graph. I'm assuming
It means the charts.
Yeah.
Have you been, Max, have you been trading with us for the last well, we haven't been here for 6 months. You couldn't have been for 6 months. Have you been following us with the wedges at all? Here we go. Try it again. You have the mic. Nope, still not hearing anything.
Nope. Don't hear nothing at all.
Let's see. How did our U.S. Swiss do here? Ooh. Well, U.S. Swiss had some volatility here with the announcement at 8:30, but it did come up and hit the target, which is about what I suspected it was going to do.
Yeah, even Euro USD just tanked, so we'll see if it breaks 117.90. If it breaks 117.90, it could continue going down. Right now, that last 30-minute candle has gone something like 80 pips.
You said the Euro USD?
Yeah,
We don't trade that.
I know. 50 pips. Sorry, my bad. 50 pips. So 50 pip move on a 130-minute candle. Pretty substantial. You won't see that very often. Definitely news focused.
All right now with our 15-minute chart, we had our hit. It came back down. Now it's going to retest this again. Let's go on to a lower time frame chart. This is the US CAD that we were looking at. Let's go to our 1-minute chart and see if, so here's our anchor. Here was our first hit. Remember I told you I moved the C all the way over here. I'm going to put it back over here where we had it and see if this trend line holds. And right now with the dollar, let's see how we look at, let's look at all three pairs here, 3 time frames. And we have the dollar strength, not by a lot. The dollar and CAD are still basically pretty strong together. And the 1-minute chart is showing pretty much showing the slight strength to the US dollar to the upside. Again, we're looking at pretty much it coming up into this zone right in here. It's not a straight line, but that's pretty much what it's doing. We do have, it's trying to get through this 62 moving average. It got through the 62 on the 5-minute. It's through the 62. All these are in the right direction. 62, 13, 5, all moving in the right direction. At the fastest one on the top. Same way, we're starting to get the 1362 cross on the US, on the 5-minute chart. And let's see here. And we'll see if it can break here. These are pretty much right on top of each other. It's strong move up, strong move down. Now it's retesting the same. It's retesting this again. We can get a close above that point. Let me move to a 5-minute chart here. See where the. If we look at where the close, less close over here, this was the previous blue candle that needs to get closed above. It needs to close above that and close above the trend.
Hey, Max, do you have your question?
You probably restarted your computer, did you?
Is he?
Let's see, can we unmute him? Yes,
I don't
to
even see
his
his.
his mic is still muted. He's muted on his end. I can't unmute him because it's already muted. So right now I'm looking at if this thing breaks and closes, I said I probably won't be able to take it because unless, let me see, but maybe it'll give me a 5 minutes. We still have 3 minutes to go for another 5-minute candle. Let's see, what time is it right now? It is 9 o'clock, so 9:05 is right there. See where this candle closes. And look at a 1-minute chart. I'm gonna move this at 9:05 if I can, right there. It's got 1 minute to go. Change the color of this one. This is a time reference. And so I want to see it close above this blue line. Here's my 1-minute chart. Here's my 5-minute chart. And we have about a little bit less than 2 minutes before the close. Okay, we had the 1-minute close on this. Sometimes it's helpful to find out, put a little line here. So if you're on a 1-minute chart, to see where the 5-minute candle is going to close. It's going to close right when the candle opens on this purple line. The candle that before that is the 1-minute candle that closed on that's the same as the 5-minute close. I'm starting to pay a little more attention to that actual factor of the when that 5-minute candle closes versus when the 1-minute candle closes. Sometimes you get an earlier entry, but sometimes you maybe get a better fill if you wait for that 5-minute to close.
So Al, when you have a moment, Max has typed in the chat. Would it be possible to show him a couple of setups just so he can like grasp how you're doing it?
Sure. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can do that. Let's go ahead and let's just see. Wait, about how much time is it? How much time do we have here?
It's 9:04.
Yeah, we have. Let's do about another 5 minutes, and we'll get to that question, and I'll just go through some replays of some of the other alerts that we've had, and give you everybody a little bit of a chance to a refresher on the method that we use to at least draw the wedge initially. I said, first off is that we always initially draw them on a 15-minute chart, and then we'll scale down to a 1 minute. Here we go. We had the close. I'm going to see if I will take this straight. There it goes. I just need to lower my lot size. Protection. I got take profit. I'm going to go with 7 pips. Stop loss of 10. So here's my 7 pip target. Here's my stop loss. I could probably actually put this stop loss down below the yellow line. I like to keep it, well, let's see. I'm going to keep it on below the second series of lines here. Try and keep it out of harm's way. We had the break, we had the close, we had the pullback. Now, if this thing's going to keep on going, it should, this stop, I'm going to back it off just about 2 pips. Try and keep about 3 pips below this yellow line. The yellow line should hold. If it doesn't hold, then something's not quite right. And we have our 62 on the 1 minute way down here. We're still in that trade initially when we first got filled off that announcement. Yep, stop me out. And you can see that when you can see on this 5 minute chart, again, this gives some validation to the 5 minute. The 1 minute got me in, even on the second pullback. 5 minute never did close above this blue line. Eva, you may have something here.
See? not just a pretty face, right?
See, I was looking at this. I was looking at this close as we had some lower closes. We had all these other blue lower closes. We had this strong one here, and then we had the pullback. So I really wanted to see a close above here. But if you come over here to see where the highest close was, snuck over here, it came in and it challenged. It broke. This C is right at the same as where this close was. If you look at that, and so I was looking for a close above this blue candle. So when I drew this, if I drew this zone, I like drawing that where I want to see a close below, above or below. And so here is where the high was. Here's the break of the wedge. Here is my reference candle, because I'm looking for a higher close before it's going to go higher. But right now, here's a higher close from all of this area. And you can see it took out this one, it took out this one. But when this C hit, it couldn't take this one out. So I'm using this for the reference. Say, I want to see a close above the wedge. I also want to see a close above this blue candle. Oftentimes, that area is where there's the extra hit. We don't have that hit. We just have a straight shot here.
For me, it's just a little bit more of a confirmation, a little more conservative, and less stress on my brain when I'm watching it make all those extra moves in and out of the wedge.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It depends on where your comfort levels are.
Yeah.
Some people wouldn't trade anything lower than a 1 hour chart, but when we do these wedges, when you have a 15-minute alert, that's our high time frame. We do look at higher time frames to that to see where our target zones are.
The 30. I mean, I'll rarely go to the 4 hour, but I'll stick to the 30 is usually the highest I'll do when I'm looking at a wedge, because I'm not looking for a really big move like we've said many times.
Yeah. Let's get back to Max's question.
Yeah, he
Before we
wants
run,
to see.
before we run out of time, Max, you still here?
Yeah,
Yep,
he's still in
he's
the
still here.
room. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Let's go to another chart. And let's just take one that happened maybe, let's see. Well, here's one that happened 3 o'clock this morning, the Euro US. Let's just draw that from a start. So let's go to, let's go to one that we're not looking at right now, Euro US. Euro USD, this was at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was
Ascending.
ascending at 3 o'clock. So what we do is where we get the alert, we put a line, 3 o'clock this morning. That's all the way back. See, I'm on my 1 minute chart. I gotta get on a different chart here. Bear with me a second. Let me get this back to the wedge alert. And just put this thing on a 15 minute. And I'm gonna do a replay on this. There's where the alert was. So this is what we were looking at on a 15-minute chart. And just to start off with, what I'm looking at is I'm looking to see, here's where the new day started. And between these blue lines, these are day breaks. And so I'm looking to see what the action was yesterday, and then what the action was overnight, and then where we are right now. So if you look and see where yesterday's low was, you can see that, well, let's just take it from here. Let's just start from we have a nice pivot high, we have a nice pivot low. This is after this is probably somewhere just before the London session opens. I think they open around 5 o'clock East Coast time. So I'm going to go over this pivot high. I'm going to start with this pivot low, and that's where I'm going to start. It was ascending. So I'm going to start with the A when I draw this triangle. Now, again, you can just use just a straight trend line. And that's what a lot of people do. If you don't have this tool, you can just do a trend line, just go from here to here. Make this one, yellow. I'll make it orange here, make it a little bit thinner. There we go. So here's our trend. This is my higher time frame trend line. I'll make those in orange. Usually that's my 15-minute wedge that I'm going to be drawing on this. So here's my pivot high, my pivot low. Here's and this is as close as I could get. This is as close as I can get before the alert right here on this candle, because the alert started right on that yellow line. And then I'm going to draw another one to the top. And I'm going to tuck that in as close to this as I can. Now, so basically, here's where you start. There's my starting wedge. Now I'm going to draw with this tool here just because I like this tool better, and there's a reason why I do this. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this line here, just so we don't clutter up our screen too much. So now here's our wedge. We have our zone that we're looking at. Now what I'm looking for is a trend, looking back and see, is there someplace over here where I can draw, where I have a pivot low that will allow me to have a trend line where it validates this and this on that line. So I'm looking for an anchor. So I'm going to move my A over here to see where I can come. And I find that here's a pivot low. We had a move overnight. It came back, retested this low, came up, and then it's retesting this. So here's my anchor. Here's my intermediate hit, and here's my other. This validates this trend line. Same way on the upper part is that I have here's my anchor. I have a hit right here, and this tucked in close to where the alert was. So this trend line is validated. So now I go over to my...
And Al, maybe just explain to Max that for you, validation means that it hits the line 3 times. Like you have 3 touch points.
Exactly. I have an anchor. I call this my anchor. I have a touch point. That's a hit. and I have another touch point. And right now, this one's not totally valid because we don't know what's on this side, but right now we have a hit here. And you can see that on this 15-minute chart, it came down, made a low, and started to pull back up. So now we're going to go to, see if I can draw this on, I'm just going to keep this on a 5-minute chart for simplicity's sake. So here was the low. So again, I can move this, tuck this over just a little bit closer because here's where the alert was. We don't know what's over this side of the chart yet. And I'm going to tuck this one up here, just a little bit over. And so here's my, again, here's my anchor. Here's my near hit. Now, if this is within the spread, or I usually use 2 pips. If this is within 2 pips, that's generally within the spread. I still count that, and that's valid. And then we have a lower high here. So here's a high, here's a lower high, here's an even lower high to this one. So that validates that trend. So now we're going to be looking. Now we're going to start playing the game. So I'm going to play this candle by candle. So here was the next 5-minute candle, and it went right back up into. So right now, what it's doing is that it validated this line right here. This line's been validated, and so we're looking for it to bounce and break. And I want to see it close. Right now, I want to see this thing close above. I want to see it close inside this range. On a break of the trend line, I want to see it close inside this area. And enter on close. So I'm going to be wanting to enter it long on the close of that. Same way down here, I want to be entering it short on the close of this line. Now I may want to look and see where I'm going to come back over here to see where the lowest close was, and I'm going to use this. So I want to see it close below this candle. I want to see it close up below the wedge, and I want to see it close inside this zone before I take it short. This would be to go short. This would be to take it long. Now we play the game. Right now it's still inside the wedge, still inside. You see how this came up and it validated. That's another validation. And that's a validation after the announcement, or after the alert. Nothing has really changed, but now I can actually move this thing down a little bit here. And I want to see it close. Let's see. I want to see it close above this candle right here. So I want to see it break the wedge and close inside this area. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to take it over here. Let me think. I want to keep it above where the zone was. There we go.
Any questions so far, Max?
But remember, the key here is we're looking for a low and a high, and I'm looking for a lower high, and I'm looking for a higher low until the alert. So right now, and I want 3 hits. I want the anchor, a hit, and a hit. And I don't care how far back I have to go. I'll go back to wherever I have to go back to find where that anchor was. Actually, this is where it was right here. So here's of the day's range, here's where the day started. Of the day's range, this was the high, this was the low, and I'm looking for a lower high, I'm looking for a higher low, and I want to see some hit in between to validate the trend line. So right now it's playing inside the wedge. It hasn't broken to the top, hasn't broken out of the bottom of it. Now we're going to see what happens when it breaks. See that? It came down, hit on that, it came down, tagged it again. Again, you have another validation of the wedge. I don't have to move anything now because everything's been validated. Now we're just waiting for it to break. But I'll put this one back over here. Okay, so here we go. Next 5-minute candle. Came down, hit, couldn't close below it. Still hit, couldn't close below it. Now you also see what's happening is that we have this blue candle right here, and you have two red candles right after it. Both times it came down to this line and it couldn't break through it. It's just, all we're doing is waiting for it to break. There it broke, but it didn't break into my zone here. So right now I'm not willing to take this trade because I know there may be some buy orders right in this area right in here. Came down. Again, it couldn't close and went right back up again. Had you taken that trade right here, you probably would have been stopped out. Possibly you've been stopped out right up there. So right now, I still didn't take the trade yet. I'm still waiting for it to come and close into this zone. Came up, tagged, went up into this area, couldn't close above. Still no trade. There, now this one would have, and here's where the announcement was. I believe this is 8:30. And this is what would have happened in that you would have been say, oh, you got in, say you had a sell stop over here, you got in, it whipped you out, and you would have lost the trade no matter what you would have done in that part. But that's how we draw the wedges. Again, I recap. You get the alert, you look for the previous significant pivot high and pivot low, and then you look for a lower high and you look for a lower low, and just work your way into the chart, into where the alert was, and try and tuck it in as close to the alert without breaking that trend line. And then that's your wedge, and then you're looking for close above and below those blue candles about where that was, like right in this C area. You see that here's where the alert, here's a blue candle. Oh, I'm looking at the bases of the blue candle, looking at the base of the blue candle, looking at the base of the blue candle. Actually, I probably could go to this one here, inside where the wedge was drawn, and I'm going to see it close below that before I get into the trade. And if you're looking at the pip value from where this thing broke to here, you're only looking at 4 pips. Because if this breaks, you have a whole lot longer to go. When you look over here, because there's nothing else until you get down to this area, to where the A is. Okay, does that answer your question? Hopefully. We have about 7 more minutes. But just go back and look where these alerts are, where you get the alerts, and do some back testing, and just go and I would suggest you take the ones that are. I do everything with East Coast time, but during the London session and between the London session and then when the London and the U.S. session overlap, which is usually, I think it's about 5 o'clock in the morning East Coast time to about 11, 12 o'clock on the East Coast. So between 5 and 10, say 5 and 11, look for those alerts that happen during that time frame and go back and see if you can draw them and start looking for that picture that I'm trying to show you. And eventually your brain will start seeing that. You'll just start seeing before you won't even have to draw it out. You'll just see it, and then you just draw it. Then put it on a lower time. I start with a 15-minute, then I'll go to a 5-minute chart. And let's see if we're done with this replay here. And then go to a 5-minute chart. And before the alert, just tweak it as close as you can, and then see where the entries are, and try and find those out. Just remember, like on Friday, the first Friday of every month is the non-farm payroll. Whenever we have red folder announcements, this one's the big one of the month. It's the one I always pay attention to. There's a lot of other red folders, and you may just want to go back to your Forex factory and see if what doesn't work, you may want to go back to your Forex factory and just look at previous months and see if you can. That's yesterday. Just back up and see if there's any red folders in on those days you're trying to test, and stay away from those time frames and see if that helps the cause any. And that's my suggestion. That's your homework for the weekend, is to go back to your alerts, find some wedges during that time, during the London session. That's if you live on the East Coast, that's I say anytime after Oh, anytime after 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning till about 11, 12 o'clock East Coast. Look at those trade alerts and see how they play out and practice and just practice, practice, practice. And meanwhile, back at our US CAD trade, do this on all different time frames. Any other questions before we go?
Glad we could help, Max. Feel free to ask any questions anytime you're here.
Yeah. And if you want to, I say we also have, you can also email me at hawkeye@auvoriaprime.com. And if you take a snapshot of your if you're using, are you using TradingView, Max? Oh, good. All you have to do not take a snapshot of your trade, of your charts. Basically what you're going to do is you'll have your charts up. And the other thing I ask is that you try and have your charts as close to looking like mine as, and actually you don't even need all these other indicators on that. All you need to do is draw your wedges. If you draw your wedges, just start with a fresh screen. You can do just one time frame. You can do the 5 minute, 15, or you do all three. Either one's fine. But then when you draw the wedge and take a snapshot, it's going to appear to you where the camera is, and take a snapshot photo. It's taking the image, copy that image, and then just paste that into as an attachment into and then email it to me. Then I can take a look at it, and then I can make comments on it for you. Okay, and that's for anybody in the room that wants to do that. And with that, it's about almost 9:30, and we will be wrapping this thing up.
That's a great session.
Yeah, glad everybody. It was an interesting session. I said we didn't really take any trades, but we watched how the non-farm payroll plays out and why not to trade it, and then how long it takes. I mean, right now it's 9:30. It's an hour ago, and right now it's still really not giving us any confirmation for an entry. So I say a lot of times, don't take any trades a half hour before, or at least an hour or a half hour or an hour after any major red folder report, and then just start drawing and see where you're at because that way you get all the whipsawing and all the action of that report, and then that gets to stabilize where the prices are. So
Before we shut it down, can I just verify with you your email address is hawkeye@auvoriaprime.com?
That's it. You got it in there.
Okay, just let me put it in the chat. Give them a second to copy it down or snap a picture of it. And
you can get hold of Matt, Brian, or I, or even you for that matter. Make sure you can get access to that, and we'll be more than happy to try and answer your questions. That's probably the best way to get a hold of us. I'll be checking that a couple times a day.
Perfect. Everybody's good. You've got that, Max? You've got it written down? Give me a quick yes so we know. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yes, he's got it down.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming in. Have a great weekend. We're not going to be here Monday because that's going to be a holiday, and we'll see you Tuesday. Have a great day.
Have a great weekend.